Ramiah Remy Griffin was a 20-year-old mother. She cared for her 1-year-old daughter and lived in what seemed to be a normal home. But one night, everything changed. Remy was shot multiple times inside her apartment. Her baby was in the next room, unharmed. The person arrested for this crime was not a stranger. It was Adelin Itongwa, the father of her child. What makes this case unusual is what happened next. After the murder, Adelin attended Remy's funeral. He sat with the family, shedding tears and comforting mourners. He acted like a grieving father, someone deeply affected by the loss. But he was also the man charged with killing her. How is it possible to be both a killer and a mourner? How could someone face the family of their victim and pretend to share their pain? This contradiction shocked everyone involved. This story raises serious questions. How well do we really know the people closest to us? What kind of secrets can someone hide behind a mask of grief? And how do families and communities deal with betrayal from within? If you're captivated by real crime stories that peel back the layers of truth, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Your support means the world to us as we uncover real cases, raise awareness, and give a voice to the voiceless. Before we dive into today's story, we want to hear from you. Where are you tuning in from? And how do you feel as the story unfolds? Welcome to Deadly Crime Unmasked, the show where we expose the shocking crimes that rip through communities and the chilling secrets lurking behind closed doors. These are real people, real events, real consequences. Don't forget to subscribe and activate notifications. You won't want to miss the gripping story that's coming up. Now let's dive in. Ramiah Griffin, known to most people as Remy, living in Baldwinboro, Pennsylvania, at the time of her death in early 2024. She was born and raised in the area and was known within her community as a young woman who kept to herself, focused on her child, and worked hard to support her family. Remy was the mother of a 1-year-old daughter. According to people close to her, she was fully committed to raising her child and often made decisions based on what would benefit her daughter in the long term. Family members describe her as someone who was always present and hands-on with her parenting. She took care of all the basic responsibilities required of a young mother: feeding, bathing, changing, and putting her child to sleep. In addition to physical care, she spent time with her daughter daily and prioritized her daughter's development and well-being. At the time of her death, Remy was not married, but she shared a child with a man named Adelin Itongwa. The nature of their relationship was unclear to outsiders, but they were co-parenting their daughter. Remy was reported to be the primary caregiver, and she lived with her child in an apartment located within the Baldwinboro area. Remy had not attended college, but she had expressed a desire to pursue nursing or early childhood education in the future. According to her sister, Mariah Griffin, Remy had begun exploring options to return to school once her daughter became a little older. She had also considered getting a part-time job to support her daughter's needs and start saving money for a better apartment or home. These goals were part of her plan to build a stable and healthy life for her and her daughter. In terms of lifestyle, Remy was described as reserved and calm. She avoided conflict and preferred spending time at home with her daughter. She was not known to party or be involved in public disputes. Most of her communication with friends and family members centered around her daughter's milestones, such as first steps, new words, or birthdays. Those who interacted with her frequently stated that she rarely complained and focused most of her energy on parenting. Her social media activity reflected her identity as a mother. Posts often included pictures or videos of her baby girl, captions expressing gratitude, and occasional updates about small life achievements. Friends commented on her posts with support, calling her a great mom, strong, and committed. After her death, several public statements were made by her family. Her sister, Mariah Griffin, spoke to the media, describing Remy as someone who loved being a mother and took pride in her daughter. She also stated that Remy had a lot of plans for the future, particularly those that would allow her daughter to grow up in a safe and loving environment. These statements were supported by other relatives who recalled Remy's frequent mention of saving money for daycare, enrolling in night school, or getting a driver's license so she could access more job opportunities. At the time of her death, Remy was living independently with her daughter in a small apartment. She did not report any known threats or issues to local authorities. There were no documented domestic disputes between her and Adelin Itongwa prior to the incident. Remy's daily routine revolved around caring for her child. She kept regular appointments for the baby's checkups, maintained contact with other young mothers for advice, and ensured her daughter was kept clean, fed, and active. Her parenting style was consistent and structured, based on what witnesses and family members observed. Although she was young, Remy had taken on the full responsibility of being a mother with no legal issues or indications of neglect. She had no prior criminal record, no history of substance abuse, and no involvement in any dangerous behavior. Her life was centered on parenting, and her short-term goals included childcare, finding employment, and improving her education. On the evening of February 9, 2024, a tragic crime took place in Baldwinboro, Pennsylvania, a quiet residential area located just outside of Pittsburgh. At 8:45 p.m., Baldwinboro police received a 911 call reporting gunshots heard inside a second-floor apartment located on McAnulty Road. When officers arrived at the scene, they discovered the body of 20-year-old Remy Griffin inside the apartment. She had been shot multiple times. Emergency medical responders attempted life-saving measures, but Ramiah was pronounced dead at the scene. There were no signs of forced entry into the apartment, and the door appeared to have been opened willingly. This led officers to believe that the victim may have known her attacker. Inside the apartment, police made another discovery. In a room just a few feet away from where the shooting occurred, Ramiah's 1-year-old daughter was found unharmed. The child was alone but physically safe. Investigators removed the baby from the scene and placed her in protective custody while attempting to contact relatives. The crime scene was secured and processed by forensic investigators. Multiple shell casings were recovered inside the apartment, indicating that more than one shot had been fired. The direction of the shots and the location of Ramiah's body suggested that the suspect had fired at close range. Investigators found no signs of struggle or self-defense, reinforcing the theory that Ramiah was taken by surprise. Detectives immediately began interviewing neighbors and reviewing security camera footage from surrounding buildings. Several residents reported seeing a man leaving the building shortly after the gunshots were heard. Surveillance footage from a nearby street camera showed a vehicle pulling out of the parking lot around the same time the shots were reported. Within hours of the investigation, police identified a suspect, Adelin Itongwa, a 22-year-old man known to the victim. He was the father of Ramiah's baby and had been in an on-and-off relationship with her in the past. According to public records and family statements, Adelin had visited the apartment multiple times before and was familiar with the layout of the home. After the news of Remy Griffin's murder broke, the Baldwinboro community reacted with confusion and shock. Residents in the area did not expect such a violent crime to occur in a relatively quiet neighborhood. Remy had lived peacefully with her 1-year-old daughter, and there had been no prior public indications of conflict or danger inside her home. Neighbors reported that they had not heard any loud disputes or witnessed any signs that something might go wrong. Many said they were unaware of any ongoing issues between Remy and Adelin Itongwa, the father of her child. The suddenness and severity of the crime, multiple gunshots inside her apartment, left many people stunned and questioning how something like this could happen without warning. Some neighbors told local news that they had seen Remy walking with her baby on several occasions. She appeared to be a calm and attentive mother. The idea that her life was taken in the same home where she cared for her child was described as disturbing by many in the community. Police confirmed that Remy's baby daughter was unharmed and found in another room at the time of the shooting. The arrest of Adelin Itongwa only deepened the community's disbelief. Many had assumed that the child's father would be a source of protection. Instead, police identified him as a primary suspect and charged him with criminal homicide and endangering the welfare of a child. Despite being the prime suspect in Remy's murder, Adelin Itongwa attended her funeral. His actions during the service created confusion, anger, and suspicion among Remy's family and friends. At the funeral, Adelin displayed behaviors typical of a mourning partner. According to witnesses, he stood quietly, cried at several moments, and offered words of comfort to other grieving attendees. He remained calm, kept to himself for most of the time, and hugged members of Remy's family. Some family members initially believed he was sincerely grieving the loss of the mother of his child. Adelin's physical appearance did not raise suspicions. He dressed in appropriate funeral attire. His face showed signs of distress, and he kept his head low for most of the service. He whispered condolences to others and did not speak publicly. He did not bring attention to himself, which helped him blend in as just another mourner. His actions were later viewed in a very different light once the charges against him were announced. Law enforcement officials arrested him after gathering evidence linking him to the crime. The same man who stood with the grieving family, crying and offering hugs, was accused of causing the pain he was pretending to share. The contrast between Adelin's behavior at the funeral and the crime he is charged with is significant. Prosecutors allege that Adelin killed Remy in the same home their daughter lived in. Family members were especially disturbed once they learned of his arrest. Ramiah Griffin, Remy's sister, expressed shock and disbelief. She recalled how Adelin behaved during the funeral and questioned how he could look him in the eye while knowing what he had done. She described his actions as deceptive and manipulative. On February 10, 2024, less than 24 hours after the shooting, Baldwin police located and arrested Adelin Itongwa at a relative's residence in a neighboring community. He was taken into custody without incident and transported to Allegheny County Jail. The Allegheny County District Attorney's Office confirmed that no bail would be granted for the homicide charge, and Adelin would remain in custody pending trial. Authorities also stated that additional charges could be added as the investigation continued, depending on the results of ballistic testing, autopsy results, and digital forensic evidence such as text messages or GPS data. At the time of his arrest, police had not released a specific motive for the killing. However, early findings suggested the possibility of a domestic dispute or personal conflict between the suspect and the victim. Investigators are continuing to gather evidence to build a timeline of events leading up to the shooting. Remy's older sister, Ramiah Griffin, spoke publicly after the incident. She expressed her frustration and disbelief that Adelin had shown up at the funeral despite allegedly being responsible for Remy's death. Ramiah stated that Adelin cried alongside the family during the service and did not reveal any indication that he might be involved in the murder. In interviews with local media, Ramiah was quoted questioning his behavior. She asked how someone could take a life and then sit next to the victim's family at a funeral pretending to be in mourning. According to her, Adelin remained quiet during the funeral, kept himself, and displayed emotions that appeared genuine to others. However, knowing the truth later made the family question everything about his actions during the service. Ramiah also raised concerns about safety and trust. She wanted answers about what happened between Remy and Adelin before the shooting. She asked why someone who had shared a child and a life with her sister would end it so violently. Her statements added urgency to the public conversation around domestic violence, emotional manipulation, and betrayal within close relationships. She emphasized the importance of ensuring her niece, Remy's daughter, grows up in a safe and stable environment, one that reflects the kind of love Remy had given her. As of now, specific details regarding progression of court proceedings, including trial dates or sentencing, have not been publicly disclosed. Itongwa remains in custody at the Allegheny County Jail pending further legal action. Given the charges of criminal homicide and endangering the welfare of a child, Itongwa faces severe legal consequences if convicted. In Pennsylvania, criminal homicide encompasses various degrees, including first-degree murder, which carries a mandatory life sentence or the death penalty, depending on the circumstances and prosecutorial decisions. The charge of endangering the welfare of a child is a felony offense that can result in additional prison time. The case of Remy Griffin is not just a personal tragedy. It also sends a warning to the public about a larger problem. Danger often comes from the people we know and trust the most. Many people believe threats come from strangers, but statistics and real-life stories show otherwise. In most violent crimes, especially domestic-related ones, the suspect is someone the victim already knows. In Remy's case, the suspect was not a stranger. He was the father of her child. He was someone she lived with. He was part of her everyday life. Yet, he is the one now charged with taking her life. This story is a clear example of how people closest to us can hide harmful behavior. From the outside, everything may appear normal. There might be no public signs of violence. But inside the home, behind closed doors, the situation may be different. This is why it's important to pay attention to relationships that may look okay but carry hidden risks. Family members, partners, and even close friends can sometimes be the source of harm. Abuse does not always begin with violence. It often starts with small forms of control, like isolation, threats, or emotional pressure. Over time, these patterns can lead to worse situations. In some cases, it can end in extreme outcomes like what happened to Remy. This case also highlights another serious issue: the protection of children and vulnerable family members. Remy's 1-year-old daughter was inside the home at the time of the incident. While she was not physically harmed, she is now left without her mother. She is also connected to a father who is now facing criminal charges for murder. This shows how deeply children are affected, even if they are not the direct target of violence. In any situation involving conflict, children are the most vulnerable. They are often unable to protect themselves. They cannot escape, and they might not even understand what is happening. Children in homes where violence or abuse takes place are at risk of physical harm, emotional trauma, and long-term psychological effects. This is why protecting children and other vulnerable individuals in the home must be a top priority. If you see signs of harm, even if it seems small, it's important to act. This can include speaking up, seeking help from professionals, or reporting the situation to the proper authorities. It is better to step in early than to wait until it's too late. This case also raises important questions for every viewer. Do you know someone who might be hiding signs of abuse in their relationship? Have you ever ignored red flags because the person involved seemed trustworthy? Are you in a situation where you feel unsafe, but you're not sure what to do? These are difficult questions, but they are necessary. Abuse can happen anywhere, across all communities, races, and social classes. It does not always leave visible marks, and the person causing the harm might be someone others trust. That's why it's important to look past surface appearances. A person can seem calm and loving in public, but act differently behind closed doors. They might even attend funerals, comfort others, and pretend to be innocent. Just like what happened in Remy's case. This kind of behavior is not just deceptive. It makes it harder for victims to get help and for outsiders to recognize the danger. If you're watching this video and something feels familiar, either in your life or in the life of someone close to you, do not ignore it. Ask questions. Pay attention. Trust your instincts. And remember, seeking help is not weakness. It's a step toward safety. Also, checking on the people around you. Sometimes victims stay quiet because they feel trapped or ashamed. Your concern might be the one thing that helps them speak out. Offer support, not judgment. Share resources. Let people know they are not alone. Finally, don't wait for a tragedy to take action. Learn the signs of abusive relationships. Educate others. Make your home, your friendships, and your community a place where danger is not hidden, but addressed early and seriously. Remy's story shows us that danger isn't always outside. Sometimes it's inside our homes. Stay alert, stay informed, and always put safety first. If this story gripped your heart and left you questioning the truth, don't forget to hit that like button and share with others who need to hear it. For more chilling true crime stories that dive deep into the mysteries behind these tragedies, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell. You won't want to miss our latest updates, investigations, and thought-provoking discussions. Thank you for being part of this journey with us as we uncover the truth and seek justice. Together, we can make a difference. Stay safe, stay aware, and we'll see you in the next one.